Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Indy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Byrne. Bounces into Cody, puts it up, scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Stop and think what day it was. Welcome in Indiana Sports Speed Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. As always, hope your week is going well. It's been a very, very hot one, at least here in central Indiana. What's new? How are things going? We've got Matt Taylor on the program today. Chris Denari is going to stop by. Indiana is in the Bahamas. May see if we can get a hold of Matt Byrne and talk to him and see what that's like down there. Trying to think of all kind of, and then partially in the new studio, getting in there as everything is moving along. I hope you're having a great day and pop your questions along. Coach camp going on, feet injuries, of course. Going to talk about Ted Kitchell. Saw yesterday that, or today, that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's a while back. He is dealing with that, and hope that continues to be something he can get through. The Brickyard is this weekend as well. Ross is saying hello. He's down in Kentucky listening to us. Appreciate that, of course. Martha the Mop Lady says, make the content stop. I'm not sure what that one's about. What's going on with you? And how's your day been? How's your week been? Indiana football continues. We're going to hear from Kevin Peoples, defensive line coach. Who else we got lined up? John?
We got Ryder Anderson. I need to clip that one down still, but we do have Kevin.
Yeah, that dude, Ryder Anderson is the guy that transferred in from Ole Miss. First of all. Secondly, he's a big dude. He's a big dude. I mean, they have this thing that they keep track of, chaos. Who causes chaos? Man, their only goal is to cause chaos on the field right now. And I think they're going to do it. Oh, man. It's going to be fun watching this defense with these influx of players, with the growth of these players. Jennifer says the pics and videos from the Bahamas are killing her. She wished she was there. Yeah, you and me both, sister. You and me both. I promise you. Joey Votto is 37. No, it's not his birthday. So since the All-Star break, he's leading the league in homers with 14. Extra base hits is second with 19. RBIs, he's first. Go, baby. Go, Reds, go. Need them to catch up. Indiana volleyball's kicking around the corner for those of you that have daughters that play volleyball. All kinds of stuff coming up. But I'm going to need to reach out to Matt, see how things are going in the Bahamas. Do you know anybody that is down in the Bahamas? Anybody that's listening know anyone down in the Bahamas? I mean, I do, but just curious if you had any friends or family down there. Rick talking about James. Is it late in the process? Yeah, it is, because yesterday I was talking about that. I think that, and we'll pull that up for certain, but to enter the transfer portal, you have to do it prior to July 31st, or you have to sit, I believe is the rule. So he's going to have to sit, but he's not, he did not get, obviously he did not get the starting job. That's what this is about. Stephen Carr came in, and even though he's going to be here for one season, apparently may have gotten the starting job. There's no a depth chart been released yet, but the writing's on the wall. But that is what it's all about. It seems a little strange to me. This is basically the third time he's had a change of mind. He flipped from Ohio State. He hit the transfer portal last year, and he hit the transfer portal again. Man, that doesn't sound like a committed guy. I don't want to I'm not throwing stones or anything, but hey, he needs a situation for him. Wyatt hitting the comments up for his Cardinals through an 88 pitch shutout last night. I'll have to check the standings. I don't know exactly. MLB standings, baby. Where are my Reds? I got to keep track of them. It's important. Money riding on this. I normally wouldn't bet on that. A friend of mine talked me into betting that the Reds would win the National League or their division. They're 8 games back. Holy crap. Yeah, that's not going well. The Phillies, however, have taken over the East, tied with the Braves. The Mets are a game back. Bet Kevin Brockway's loving that. Holy smokes. And your Cardinals, they're 11 games back. So Wyatt, that's man, you guys, that's too far back. Let's see. I want to make sure I get back to that. All right. Tim says, has there been a player hurt or not make the Bahamas trip? Not that I'm aware of. I have not heard anything about that. Jennifer says that Serbian team looked like beast. 6-10 minutes. That's the thing, guys. These aren't college kids. These are professional players. This is a team they're playing. This is their national teams. Yeah, it's going to be a test. So are they shorthanded? Brother, I've been moving. I'll be honest with you. I have been moving, and so we'll have to dig into that. But we're going to have Matt try to get Matt on with us. He's down in the Bahamas for Indiana Rivals. We'll get him on and see what's shaking down there. Wyatt. Man, didn't have to hit him with our standings. Sorry about that. I had to find out. I was kind of curious. I didn't realize the Reds had dropped that far back. So, yeah. Indiana Creekwalkers with us, asking, are the games on radio? Nope. No television, no radio. The only thing is going to be the media outlets are allowed to show 2 minutes of video. So we're going to, it would be nice if we could get everybody together and just string along those 2 minutes of video, and we could get a pretty good chunk of the game out there. So, but yeah, we'll check into. Apparently, someone didn't make the trip, but we'll check into that. And with Matt Byrne, like I said, who's down there in the break, I have been in the middle of a move for 2 days, and I'm pretty much lost. Snuck out to football practice yesterday to do some interviews, but I don't like it. Don't like moving. Hate it. Don't ever want to do it again. Unfortunately, that won't be the case. Can you listen anywhere? Nope. There are nothing. It is nothing. They are not letting it out. You can follow along on live tweets on thehoosier.com. Going to have live tweets of the action of what's going on from the writer that's there, and from the Rivals writer, and video from on Rivals, from the video that's allowed to be ascertained that a little bit. But yeah, you can follow on thehoosier.com, Indiana Rivals, complete coverage as it's going along. So that's where you can keep up to date with what's going on in the Bahamas, while it's like a secret, kind of a secret scrimmage of sorts. You know how they did those a couple of years ago, but not, But those weren't really secret because, like I said, we had the stats immediately afterwards. We knew who they were playing. Fans weren't just allowed in. Well, there's not a ton of fans allowed into this. This is kind of a high-end donor deal. It's very expensive to go to. Honest expectations. Mike Ham asking. Blowout, close win. Wow. I blowout is not in my mind anywhere because I have no idea about what this team has together. But knowing that the other team has played together for a while, no, I think they'll be lucky to win. You're looking at a group of guys coming together. These Serbians are not, they didn't walk off the boat yesterday, guys. These are basketball players. So I don't know. I don't know if Indiana can win these games. I haven't seen Indiana. No one has seen Indiana. We don't know what they're like to play as a team together. Scott asking again, an update from the coaches on Sampson. No, there was no talk about that yesterday. And I'm sure their answer is going to be, it's his decision. He felt like, I don't know why that looks crooked, but it's his decision. But like I said, look at the background. You flip from Ohio State, then you enter the portal last year. Now you've entered the portal again. I just don't know how committed that sounds. So, Ryan, moving sucks. I have one more move in me to Bloomington. There you go. Ryan up north. But that's, I don't think they're going to say a lot about Samson James. There's not a lot to say when a kid transfers. I mean, it's obvious. He did not get the starting job, so he wants to go someplace else and play. But the thing is, someone asked about the timing earlier. Yeah, it is just because you have to sit out. Let's see. Deadline. Had he done it? Now, you also have the one-time transfer, right? Forgot about that. The NCAA adopted the one-time transfer policy that allows student athletes to change schools without sitting out a season. So that rule has been months. There's so much to change in the future. All right. So the NCAA has set a July 1st deadline for fall and winter athletes to notify their schools of intention to transfer. Athletes must meet this deadline in order to maintain eligibility. In future years, that deadline will be May 1st. The NCAA has said it extended this year's deadline due to the timing of the rule change. Exceptions could be made in an event of a head coaching change. So this came post August 1st. Again, I don't know. I think he's going to have to sit out wherever he goes. And of course, this would be his sit out year if he transfers right now. But man, a year of not playing. And Stephen Carr's only going to be here a year. So that tells me, is it Stephen Carr or is it the guys below him that he's concerned about? This is going to be something to dig into out of curiosity. It doesn't really matter, but I know you guys want to know, and hey, we want to know. So, you think he'll stay?
Break.
We need to take a break, but that's a good little, that's a good take. We got to take a break. Tim says the mega team has players 22 years old or younger. They are being developed to possibly join an NBA team if they're good enough. Yeah, like I said, these are Good players. Hey, we'll talk about that and much more when we come back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Thursday.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking
And then I guess make sure you get Matt out on time. He must always have Thursday meetings or something now because he tends to have to leave early.
Hey, what's it like vacation, man? What do you got? What do you got coming up? What time does that start? Okay, so I'd love to. Oh man, I'd love to have gotten you on here at 9:40. Well, we can do it by phone. Just. We'll I'll call you. I'll call you in the 9:40 break, and we'll just chit chat about what all's happened so far. What have you seen? Who didn't show up? Who didn't make it? Who's hurt? All right. All right. Well, I'll call you back at 9:40. Just have some stuff, anything that you about what you're getting ready to do and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about it. Right. Perfect. All right, brother. Thanks. We'll just do Matt by phone.
Sounds good. You're just going to call him and put him on speaker?
He's having problems with Wi-Fi for some reason right now.
Gotcha. All right. We're coming back in. Got about 20 seconds.
Homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Thursday. Looks like it's going to be another hot one out there. Finished up my move today, man. Not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. Yeah, I left that up there from Tim and Mega Team. This is a team that has some players loaded on it. We're talking about some guys that may be injured, but Logan Duncan definitely made the trip. He is in the Bahamas. I talked to Matt in the break. Matt Byrne is going to join us in the next segment. We'll talk about what's coming up. They're about to go into their practice at around 10 or in about 20 minutes, and we'll have interviews from that tomorrow for you. You can always go to thehoosier.com as well as Indiana Sports Beat's YouTube page. Hey, see, Matt Taylor's on here. Matt, how are you, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Well, I'm just wishing I was in the Bahamas. I'm talking about it, but I'm not there.
What exactly is going on? I've seen a lot of stuff on social media flying around. Is it a preseason tournament? How does it work?
It's not a tournament. They're just playing a couple of games, but there's no television, there's no radio. It's kind of akin to what I'm calling like the secret scrimmages they used to have that weren't secret, and this is not secret. It's kind of a high-end, I'm calling it a high-end donor deal. It's a really expensive trip. You have to stay at Atlantis to get tickets to the event, and everything was just really pricey. So it's just and that's it. And they're playing a couple Serbian teams. I think basically to see where they are for Mike Woodson, to see what he has, because he doesn't really know. And probably, I guess, doesn't want that broadcast on radio and TV.
Well, here we go. It's the first chance to, put instead of pen to paper, it's feet on the floor here. So that's exciting, even though it's, the month of August and we still got a couple of months to go before practice starts. But, anytime you can get anything this time of year in basketball to kind of bridge the gap, that certainly helps. So I know all about that.
Well, and talking about feet on the floor, man, feet is the operative word at Colts camp, it seems to be. How are your feet today?
My feet they're okay. I'm not getting out there running out and trying to avoid defensive ends and things like that. But there was that story yesterday from Chris Mortensen from ESPN. And, according to his sources, things are looking pretty optimistic that the Colts, with Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson both trending, that's the operative word, trending on being available for week 1 of the regular season, which for both men is just that's incredible considering where they were 8 days and 7 days ago respectively here after their surgery. So pretty cool. I mean, both guys were sighted or were spotted, I should say, out at practice on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, and neither guy was seen visibly in a walking boot or a cast or something like that. Neither guy had a limp. So the fact that they're out there at practice, on their feet, physically on their feet, watching for an hour and a half, 2 hours, close to it. I don't know how you don't look at that as a good sign. I mean, we're left to kind of read between the lines, and that's kind of what we do in the media and in sports. But again, visibly, I don't know how that cannot be viewed as a positive thing.
Absolutely. My question would be with Carson, with him being so new to everything. How is that? Even though he comes back, he's really behind, I would think, offensively, in getting in tune with the offense. That would seem to be a little bit of an issue.
Well, it's certainly not ideal. Not when you're talking about a quarterback last year that had a down season, coming off a bad year with his team, has new teammates, new skill players, somewhat to a degree, a new playbook. So it's not ideal that he's not going to be out there for training camp. He's not going to get the reps that you would get today and tomorrow in joint practices with the Carolina Panthers, and then in preseason games starting on Sunday with Carolina. But that being said, one of the things that the Colts liked about this move is that Carson Wentz is a known commodity. He has played very, very well in his career at points to this point. I mean, 2017, he was an MVP candidate, probably would have won the award had he not gotten injured and tore his ACL late in the season with the Eagles. So bottom line, he's not a draft pick. He's not a guy that you're projecting. You know who he is. You know that he can play on Sundays. That was a big reason why they made this move. And so, again, it's not ideal, but once he gets back and is healthy enough to play, hopefully it is week 1. I think from a mental standpoint, there won't be anything that he doesn't know. It's just about, kicking the rust off, so to speak, and just getting into game-like flow whenever he comes back. That's going to be the biggest issue. But Frank Reich, I thought put it best the other day when he was talking about, okay, hypothetically, if we don't have Wentz week 1 or those first couple of weeks, however it unfolds, nobody has to do superstar things because the roster itself is a superstar. The Colts have one of the best NFL rosters in the league. I mean, top to bottom, they don't have, dare I say, a hole on their roster. Obviously some parts of their roster are deeper than others, but depth has been something that this franchise under Chris Ballard has just been obsessed with since he took over in 2017. He's always preached that it's not about one guy. It can't be about the quarterback. And I know fans say, well, listen, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you don't have a chance in this league. And so I get that to a degree, but the quarterback can't do everything. The defense still has to make some plays. They need to get some red zone stops. The kicking game has to pull their weight as well. So I think the Colts are built to navigate this if they have to navigate it, whether Wentz is out the first couple of weeks or he comes back week one and kind of finds his NFL sea legs, so to speak, on the fly.
Yeah, the Colts, they're as good as anybody as managing quarterback difficulties. They've had, unfortunately, the practice of doing it over the last few years. Other guys, Kwity Paye, what's the word on him?
Yeah, the Indy Star reported today that he has a sprained ankle, which is unfortunate because that came yesterday, and yesterday was a pretty light day in practice. So, it's just kind of the irony of, the lightest day in camp is when he suffers his injury, which is right next to, again, these joint practices that kick into gear today and tomorrow with Carolina. And, you certainly don't want to downplay anything that's happened to this point in camp because he's looked really, really good. But he has taken advantage, and really, for that matter, the entire Colts defensive line with their pass rushers have taken advantage of an offensive line that's been banged up. And so you got the first team defense going up against guys who are 2 and 3 on the depth chart on the offensive line for the Colts. So you just wanted to see it today to see how it would translate against a starting offensive line for another team that hasn't seen the same place 4,000 times at this point through 12 practices. So I don't think it's going to stunt his growth per se, but man, you really wanted to see it for him as he develops and progresses as a rookie. And I think, you had a pretty good idea of what he was going to be capable of being drafted 21st overall out of Michigan. But these first couple of weeks of practice, you kind of had to recalibrate, what your expectations were for Kwity Paye, I think, because he looked that good. And it's just kind of a shame for him, again, from a developmental standpoint, that he's not going to get these really valuable and quality joint practice reps today and tomorrow.
One of the listeners, Ross Bonnell, just says, hit us up. But the Colts just announced a full attendance. Masks are not required, but suggested. So full attendance, a full complement of fans in the stands this year, which I'm sure that they could certainly use.
Yeah, just incredibly exciting. I mean, as we get back to normalcy around the NFL, I mean, we've talked about it before where training camp's going on, and I would say 98% of camp looks normal. It's fans are there, and you don't have to wear a mask, and you don't have to, prove a vaccination test and things like that. Really, the only hiccup as far as normalcy, if you go back to 2019, the last time we did this in camp, the autographs, the fans can't get, intimately close to the players. But the Colts are doing a really cool thing to kind of compensate for that. They have stacks, they have thousands of these little mini Nerf footballs. And so the players sign these little mini footballs after practice and throw those into the stands after practice, which is kind of cool. So it still gives people a chance to get autographs and come home with a memento, a keepsake, so to speak, especially for the kids. It's all about the kids. So it's just cool that we're getting back to, a high sense of normalcy after last year, which was completely bizarre. And I just can't wait. I know it's a preseason game. I know they don't keep score. Well, they keep score, but the results don't necessarily matter. But man, I'm just excited to pour through the roster, go over my notes again, study and memorize the roster and call a game. Because it feels like January 9th, the last time the Colts played a football game was 10 years ago. So I'm just chomping at the bit to get back to a stadium.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm chomping at the bit to get back to a stadium with the people. Like you said, the electricity, the environment, it is completely different. It's like going to I hate to say, like going to a funeral when you go to a game that there's no people at. It's just so quiet and there's no electricity. And for those players to be able to develop the same level of drive, that has to be mentally challenging because I promise you that electricity, it flows through you naturally and it helps build you up. So when it's not there to artificially manufacture that, that's a mental challenge, I think.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you hear the word juice all the time. The Colts are big on juice, and guys last year routinely said, we have to create our own juice. We have to bring our own energy. which is hard. I mean, I know it's an NFL game, and psychologically, behind the cameras in an empty stadium are millions of people watching at home on their couch, but they're just not physically there, and just without their presence, the fans in the stadium, it's hard to replicate that. The guys can say whatever they want. It's just never the same. I mean, calling a game remotely was incredibly bizarre because the Colts would be on the road. They played in Soldier Field last year against the Bears, and they scored a touchdown on their first drive. And there was no audible reaction from the crowd because there was no crowd. So you're just thinking to yourself, well, I saw it, but did it really just happen? Because I don't hear anything. So it's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, it's kind of like that whole mindset. But I just can't wait. I think you're going to have higher attended preseason games coming up this weekend just because it is the first chance for a lot of people to see NFL action in any sense, first time in a long time. So it's going to be really, really fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, I'm going to be really amped up to go in about a month when we start keeping score for real.
Absolutely, man. The Brickyards this weekend, are you going out to that?
No, that's the same day as Sunday. So the Colts play Sunday afternoon. So we're going to be competing, so to speak, with the Brickyard that day as well.
There you go, man. Well, brother, I appreciate you as always. Have a great weekend.
I appreciate it. Will do.
Matt Taylor joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat as he does each week. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great one. We'll look forward to talking to him and see how that comes out. We're going to talk to Matt Byrne next from Indiana Rivals. He's down in the Bahamas. Not a lot going on yet. There's a practice that's coming up. And they'll be getting some interviews and whatnot afterwards. We'll have all of that for you tomorrow. But not a lot happening. And I know that there's talk about the injury, whether it's I don't know that it's really an injury in what I'm hearing, but I know that Logan Duncan is in the Bahamas. So I don't know if I haven't confirmed if he's there yet. But we'll get that. We will later. But when I talk to Matt, I don't know if he can confirm that just yet, but by the time after the practice, we'll know whether or not if someone is not there by then. We'll see. But it's early season stuff, man. The only bad thing about that is, how much of an impact. Let's say it's Durr. We'll see. How much of an impact can he make this early on against this team, and how much will it hurt them not having another big guy if it is him? Logan Duncan, like I said, is there and looks to be fine. So we'll talk to Matt in a little bit. Matt Byrne from Indiana Rivals after this. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
Oh, there's those T-shirts.
Which T-shirts?
The shirts. Yeah, if you're a fan, that's. Tell me when I need to call him. Give me a minute heads up.
Okay.
How much time do we have?
About a minute 25.
I'm worn out.
Well, I believe it. I remember the day after I moved, we were zonked.
I'm not done.
Oh, that's right. All right, you got 1 minute. Thirty seconds. I'll bring us back in at 10.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
You about ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Yeah, so,
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. It is another hot one here, and wonder what it's like in the Bahamas. I'm not there, but Matthew Byrne is there for Indiana Rivals. Matt, what is it like in the Bahamas right now? I think we lost him. You got to call him back. Well, that was nice. I don't think he knew we were ready. He started talking too soon. They don't have it. Yeah, it's just not this hot in the Bahamas. Why is that? Is it the humidity? I mean, is it just the constant wind blowing off of the ocean? Is it the fact that you have the ocean there? It just never feels this horrible. And these last few days have been absolutely just muggy. You walk outside, it's like getting hit in the face with a blowtorch. Trying to get back in touch with Matt. You there? All right, brother. We got you now. We're on. What's going on in Bahamas? What's it? It's been so hot here. What's it like there, just weather-wise?
Actually, some rain just started to pour in. There was a huge storm last night, so that definitely cooled down the temperature. But when I first arrived yesterday off the flight, I walked off and I just got hit with a wave of heat. But where I am right now, they've got some excessive heat warnings too. So I guess
Really?
it's hot no matter where you go right now in the summer.
That's true, man. That's true. But I guess it's if it's going to be hot, having an ocean and a beach nearby makes a little bit of difference. But what's going on with Indiana basketball? What's happening as the Hoosiers are on the island now?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is they're gearing up to have a practice in the Imperial Ballroom, and essentially the media will be able to view this practice and just observe how Coach Woodson coaches practice, and then there will be some players made available afterwards to talk to the media, and that is something that we can sort of take back with us. So we're not going to be reporting on the practice, but we will be able to talk to players and get that information. And also, I think that JD mentioned that there will be a status update on some of the players too.
Yeah, people have been asking about those, whether it's Michael Durr or Logan Duncan. And I know you said you've seen Logan Duncan at least. I've not seen Michael Durr yet.
Yeah, last night, some of the players were wandering the resort, probably just, free time. And, I was able to see some players. I saw Anthony Leal, Tamar Bates. I did see Duncan, or who I believe is Duncan, but I don't think I've seen Durr yet. So.
Yeah, you can't confuse Duncan. He's the 6'9" guy with a mullet. I'm pretty sure he's the only 6'9" guy on the Bahamas with a mullet. Yeah, and definitely you can tell him from the Serbians, I would imagine. Have you seen any of the Serbian teams?
Yeah, the Serbian team just walked by. I was in a different room, so it was kind of a tough angle walking through. But last night in the resort, when I was going back to my room, I saw two players who seemed like they just finished practice, and they're really tall. So excited to see how that sort of matches up in the game.
Yeah, because we've seen nothing. We don't know a lot about this basketball team, the Indiana side, what they have, well, we know what they have, but what they're going to be like as a mixture. And that's the thing. Without television or radio, our eyes and ears are going to be coming through you this weekend. So what else have you heard of anything that they've got planned to do for the team or anything like that?
Well, I know yesterday I think they swam with dolphins, and I think they're able to just roam through and sort of have some free time to be able to do that. So that's all I've seen so far, just based on social media and just seeing the team in person. So those are the activities that were planned.
Did you swim with the dolphins?
No, I did not get a chance to swim with the dolphins.
Yeah, I have not swam with the dolphins. I won't be swimming with any dolphins here either. I'll be swimming with couches and things like that. Yeah, it's the game. The first game coming up on the 13th, which is tomorrow night, 7:30.
Yeah, that's going to be the first game. And then the next game is going to be on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think something that I'm going to look for is definitely, during practice, every single player is, doing something and being productive. And then in the game, you can really only field 5 guys at a time. So I think a huge question that a lot of people have is the lineup combination. So it's going to be interesting, to sort of get a first glimpse of that and see what's working the best. And also the new style of offense where it's just more free flowing. There's a lot of things to look forward to. And I think there's going to be a lot of information about it.
Absolutely, because we've talked about it. Those very things. What are the combinations going to be? What is the offense going to look like? What is going to be the differences for Trace Jackson Davis? How will Race Thompson be utilized? Parker Stewart, Xavier John. There's so many questions that we're looking forward to seeing. And I don't know that these 2 games are going to give us those answers, but they'll at least give us the start of that.
Yeah, and obviously, different combinations as you would through a season. Sometimes things won't work and sometimes they will. So it's just a matter of seeing it. And you're right; those 2 games probably won't prove it definitely, but hopefully it'll at least give us a glimpse of which guys work together and which guys are going to go around Trace Jackson Davis. Because as of right now, he's probably the only person as a lock on the starting 5, as Coach Woodson said.
And these teams that they're playing, these are not rollovers, man. Wyatt Street just pointing out that Nikola Jovic is a 6'10" guard and a top NBA draft prospect. So there are no 6'10" guard NBA draft prospects on the Indiana team. So this is going to be quite the challenge for Indiana. I'm telling you, I don't know if fans realize this is going to be a very challenging 2 games for the Hoosiers.
Yeah, but I honestly think that having this huge challenge is definitely good to sort of face in the beginning of the season. I think the Big Ten is definitely known for its size in terms of pick one thing that it's most known for. Other conferences have a more probably generally fast play style. I'd say that the Big Ten just has size. So I think it's good to first thing, open the door and you're playing a team with a lot of size. So I think it's a good challenge, and just looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we're hearing that because you look at last year, look at the NCAA tournament. Look what happened to the Big Ten in the tournament. They just were decimated. Purdue, think of Purdue, what happened to them with that team with the quickness. During the season, of course, you've got to play the beating and the banging. But Mike Woodson seems like he's trying to put together a squad that can do both, that can play big, but get out and run when they need to, and probably do a lot of running.
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Woodson talked about in the press conference. You know, he definitely stressed the emphasis of conditioning to be able to play both ends of the floor, so the team can have a better chance of capitalizing on those fast breaks to turn it into points.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'm getting a word that it might be Logan Duncan to play. I'm not sure what that's about, but doesn't look like he's going to be playing. We'll get more information from you on that later, but not sure what that's about. If it's precautionary or if it's who knows, we'll find out. So but if that is true, that will not, I don't know how much is that going to hinder Indiana because he's new, but they still have the three bigs. But it would really be someone that, man, he could have really, really benefited from playing against talent like this, especially early on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always tough, you know, even if a guy's new or not, to lose him to an injury. And just as you said, you know, playing against the size and this really good competition against BC Mega, you know, you never want to see a guy hurt because eventually it just kind of hurts the development time because they got to, you know, take time recovering. So either way, definitely probably a big hit, you know, no matter what you do. But I'm sure there will be more information coming my way soon about the status of some players.
Yep, and we look forward to that. And what are you looking forward to seeing down there on this trip with this team?
I'm kind of just looking forward to definitely seeing the sort of conditioning aspect that Coach Woodson talked about, you know, seeing how they are in transition and also seeing, I mean, there's a lot of things to look for. I mean, seeing how they are in transition, seeing how they are shooting-wise from the three-point line, and also just, I mean, you know, the elephant in the room, just the new, quicker, or at least more free-flowing type offense that Coach Woodson has in store. So those are some of the keys that I'm looking forward to on this trip.
Yeah, and the limited amount of videos, we're only going to get to see a little bit. Looking forward to that, but looking forward to who has stepped up. I'm looking forward to seeing what Trace Jackson Davis has done with his game, any improvements that he might have made, adding a jump shot, using that offhand. He's going to be challenged without question.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that him saying in the press conference that going up against her has definitely helped his development. I think, yeah, it's another thing to look forward to see how he matches up with these bigs on the Serbian team.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to hearing from you after everything goes down and getting that information. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be talking again with Matt and see what's happening with the team as they prepare for tomorrow night's game. Any word? What's the schedule for the next day or so as they head into this first game?
I don't know of anything necessarily scheduled before, but I think the game is supposed to go at 7:30 tomorrow night.
Right. And I'm sure those do general walkthroughs before that and try to get as much out of this trip as possible. While it's fun and a bonding trip for these guys, the dolphin thing and all of that. It's a valuable trip in playing against this type of competition and getting these extra practices in.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree with you more there, honestly.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, we'll look forward to getting back to you tomorrow and finding out more and see what happens and have fun in there at practice and get some great video and great interviews.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was really nice being able to talk. And hopefully more information comes my way and I'll be able to distribute that out. So it was really nice talking to you. Thank you.
You bet. We'll do it again tomorrow. Matt Byrne from Indiana Rivals joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Bahamas with the Indiana basketball team as we'll get more from him. And it looks like that Logan Duncan is not going to be playing. We'll find out why here in a little while, of course. And as they go into their practice, we'll have the interviews from the players and whatnot for the show tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have Matt back on. We'll have Alec Lasley on tomorrow as well. So we're going to have complete coverage for you for the Hoosiers in the Bahamas for you. Don't worry about that. Only thing I wish is we were doing the show live from there. If I hadn't been moving my daughter, we would be. But man, I just need one more thing to be going on this week or this weekend. But like so many of you that have the same type of thing out there, I know it's hard work. You guys are all working hard and doing that. But yeah, man, I wish we were in the Bahamas doing this show live. That would be great. But it sounds like I don't know. I mean, it would have been great for Logan Duncan to get that experience, man. And it probably would have been a lot better for Indiana to have another big against these Serbians. Indiana Creek Walker says he's fully confident with players you have to respect around him. Trace Jackson Davis will be free to be as big as he can be. Well, that's true. I agree with that. And in saying that, it's on him now. He's got the coaching. He has the talent around him. So yeah, now he's got to put this on himself and wear it like a collar, man, and get better. He's got to get his tool shed cleaned out. My buddy Glenn says, "Go Noles, man," waving that flag. Indiana Creek Walker thinks that TJG is going to be a beast this year. Why is that? I'm not saying he's not. I'm just curious. Why is there? Wyatt asked, is there any word on how many tickets have been sold or how many fans are there? That's actually a good question. I don't know that. That's a good question. We'll find out, though, when the game – I'll tell you what. We'll find out when the game goes off. How's that? But I am curious. I'm sure there's quite a few. I mean, the Bahamas, a lot closer than Hawaii. A lot of people were planning on going to Hawaii last year. I was one of those. So let's see. Chris asking, do they maybe redshirt Duncan this year to give him a year to develop? Man, there is no such thing as a redshirt anymore. It's not gone, but with all of with the transfer portal, with the one-time transfer availability, the red shirt, that thing is it's still there. You're not going to take that kind of time to develop a kid anymore, I don't think. I just don't think you're going to see people using red shirts anymore. Hardly. At least not at the upper level. Man, they've got to be able to play. And if not, you're going to have people that are going to be able to come in from the transfer portal or transfer in and fill that spot. Good question. It's a good question. Don't get me wrong, Chris. But yeah, I think that from now on, what Mike Woodson brings in, they're going to be guys that are ready to be developed, that are ready to play, that are, the Tamar Bates, those type of guys. Are we going to do a real-time stream just to discuss what we hear from the baton? Man, you guys are trying to make it. Unfortunately, I cannot, man. I am in the middle of moving myself, like I said, and then as soon as I finish tomorrow afternoon after the show, I leave to go move my daughter to Ole Miss in Mississippi. So rough week for me, brother. I wish I could. Bad timing. I wish I was in the Bahamas, Indiana Creek Walker, to do it for you. Trust me. I can't. He just didn't see the benefit of redshirting to develop. There you go. Nothing is better to develop than going in the game against opponents other than your teammates. Exactly. Why? Exactly what I was saying. The red shirt, yeah, that is now, I think, a thing of the past. It's still on the books, but I think it's a thing of the past. It's just not going to be used. Everyone is just going to the transfer portal. Ready-made. You know, unless you got a guy that, I don't know. I just don't see it. Unless you're trying to, I was going to say to hide a guy for a year, but man, I'm just trying to come up with a reason here why someone would use a redshirt year, and I don't see it anymore. But hey, we got more coming up. Chris Denari is going to join us, talk about the Pacers. More basketball. We've got it. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans. Matt did really well.
He did do really well. He didn't sound like a college student.
Oh, man. I swear I'm so tired. NBA Summer League.
Chris is here.
Hey, Chris, how are you, brother?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Just looking over the Summer League scores.
Yeah, Duarte's played well, the kid from Oregon. Dwayne Washington played well, too, from Ohio State.
Yeah. That has just become fun to watch.
I'll tell you, the Summer League, you know, that's where the NBA, they missed it last year, but any of these sports, you're trying to be visible 12 months a year, right? And so I've looked at the local ratings and the people watching.
We're back in about 7 seconds. Sorry to interrupt.
Good.
Professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Sam's Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local, family. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Now joined by the great Chris Denari, who is making me look bad in my T-shirt today as he's looking all spiff, and man, you look like you've been up and at the office and bouncing around and looking good.
I have a golf outing to play in today. So I stopped by my friendly Starbucks that I go to at least once, sometimes twice, maybe 3 times a day. It's like 5 minutes from my house.
3 times a day?
Yeah. Well, I get an iced coffee later in the day, you know. But anyway, they looked at me. They're so used to seeing me in a nice workout T-shirt, workout shorts. They saw me with a collared shirt and they were like, what is going on today? So yeah, I have to head out. I'm going to Anderson Country Club today Brian Hammonds, formerly of the Golf Channel, longtime friend, is tied with St. John's Children's Hospital Ascension in Anderson, and they have a golf outing that I play in every year. So I'll be heading to Anderson. I played in Bob Kravitz's outing on Monday. It is that time of year. You and I have talked. We will get together at some point. But it's the one thing I'm not looking forward to, Jim, today is it's supposed to be 92 degrees.
I was going to say, brother, that I've been moving and I know how hot it is. I'm like, oh, wow, it's going to be hot out there.
Yeah, I like to play, but I don't know about you, but as I get older, I sort of like 75 and sunny with a little breeze. That's how I'd rather choose to play, but we'll make it happen today.
Yeah, that 90 degrees, I'm telling you, I have to have one of those cold rags, or I don't know that I can make it through those 90-degree days anymore.
Well, you talk about that. My wife bought those for me a few years ago, working the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the 500, how hot it is. Now, you and I, we were trading texts. I'll be out at the Speedway this weekend on the IMS radio coverage for both the two NASCAR races and the IndyCar race. But it's only supposed to be in the low 80s. So I think the weather's going to cooperate this weekend for what should be a pretty neat weekend at IMS. We did this last year where IndyCar and NASCAR got together, but there were no fans. And this year there will be fans out there. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Just the unique aspect of that right there, NASCAR and IndyCar. There has always been a lot of crossovers with drivers, with owners, tracks, things like that. But this is a step closer, actually.
Yeah, and I think it's important, Jim. Honestly, you've said it. There's a lot of crossover. I mean, look, Chip Ganassi owns, NASCAR and IndyCar. Penske, there's a lot of crossover. And for so long, I think each entity looked down its nose at the other. NASCAR at IndyCar, IndyCar at NASCAR, when they should really be working together because it is racing and it's important to grow the sport. And to me, the way you grow the sport is you work together. So I think this is a great step. I think maybe 5 to 10 years down the road, you will see more of this at other tracks across the country. And it's not surprising that Roger Penske would be at the forefront of this, right? That he would look to do this by putting both series together on the same weekend. So I think it's really smart, and hopefully it will continue as we move forward.
And the Brickyard this year, the road course, another change, which is a change that a lot of people have liked. NASCAR has gone to a lot more road courses, which I think is better. I mean, man, you can only watch so many roundy rounds on the same 1.5 mile tracks. So now you've got, and Indy, I talked about this the other day. I think maybe with Bob Kravitz, but it's not a NASCAR track. It was not built for NASCAR. It's got 9-degree bankings in the corners off of a long straightaway, which it's not built for those type of cars. So this, I think, is a positive change, and it may be one the fans really seem to like.
Yeah, and I think last year they ran the road course with the Xfinity cars, and it was a really, really good race. And then you said it, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is just not conducive to the stock car, and you see a lot of single file racing, and that's really not what we want to watch, right? The only time you really saw a lot of passing is out of yellows. If there was a yellow and there was a restart, and you saw that, but. So I think this is good. Reading some of the things from the drivers, they're half on it because there is a disappointment. I mean, you think about a lot of those drivers. Kevin Harvick's won 3 Brickyard 400s. His idol growing up in California was Rick Mears, who won 4 Indianapolis 500s, and he was hoping that maybe one day, even though it's not the same, he might win a 4th Brickyard 400. So for him, 200 miles on the road course isn't quite the same. And maybe at some point we'll see them back on the oval. But I think this is something that they need to try. I think it will be an exciting weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And obviously this is I'm assuming the only NASCAR race you do a year?
Yeah.
What's that like for you? because it's a sport that I'm assuming you haven't spent a ton of time around.
Right. I mean, I think the good thing is I'm a fan, and so I do watch a lot throughout the year. I'm pretty detailed in how I'll prepare for this. I probably over prepare just because I don't want to put myself in position to fail. But it's not unlike I've done enough of these. I've been a part of IMS radio now for 20 years. So I've done a lot of races, even though I don't do a race every week. This is sort of like when I get an assignment to do a Big Ten football game. And they, a few years ago, I got Maryland and Howard, and I flew out to College Park, and so, what you have to do when you get an assignment like that is you've got to dig deep, right? You've got to go into research mode. And so it's no different than, doing this for this weekend. And it's 3 races. I guess the good thing about calling these races is calling the oval is, I think, tougher because the cars are going so fast. This, I don't want to say it's easier. It's just different because the cars aren't going nearly as fast. I'll also be in a different position. When I'm on the oval, I'm in turn 4. So for this, I'm in turn 2 of the oval, but I'll be toward the end of the track. I think I have turns 8, 9, 10, 11, and then Jake Query picks them up in 12, 13, and 14. And then they go down the front straightaway to complete a lap. So it's a little bit different. It will be good to get my feet wet Saturday with that IndyCar race, because that'll be the first of the 3 races that I do.
And another thing, listening to those races, it doesn't matter if it's an Indy race or a NASCAR race. That broadcast team is simply amazing. But how do they coordinate the handoffs?
Yeah,
it is like a relay race, and I mean, it's like watching a 4x4 relay with a baton, and you guys are so good at it. And last week they had NBC had a road course race, and they brought in, I can't remember who it was, but someone from the IMS team. And boy, you could just tell as soon as you hear that voice, they're like, oh man. But you guys are so good at handing that baton off. How do you all, and you don't miss. How is that there just like that every time?
Well, I think it's timing. And I think when we visited back in May, I mentioned that one of the things that you have to do in this situation, you have to be a really good listener. You have to listen to who's in front of you and who's after you. You have to pay attention to what they are saying, because you are relying on them to set the field, right? It's not like when you're calling a basketball game or a football game or a baseball game and everything's right in front of you. I can't see 3/4 of the track. So I have to rely on the people in front of me, who's in what spot. And I think it's just a feel. Fortunately, during the month of May, we always use Carburation Day as a testing ground, as a practice. And then when we get into race day, you're just ready to go. And I think the other thing, Jim, is I've worked with all of these guys, for the better part, Jake and I and Mark Janes, at least 15 years together. Nick Yeoman's probably 10 or 11, Michael Young. And then we bring in, what's great about this weekend, it's a marriage of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network and the Performance Racing Network. So the play-by-play voice for the NASCAR races will be Doug Rice. Many people hear him, throughout the year. They're based out of Charlotte Motor Speedway. And so Pat Patterson and Brett McMillan and Brad Gilley will all come up and work with us. So it's really neat to marry these two groups together. And I guess the best way I can say it is that we all respect each other. We all trust each other, that we're all going to do the best that we can for, the people that we're broadcasting with. And so that's why I like it. It's different than radio play-by-play. Like if you're doing basketball or baseball or football, you know, it might be just you and I, right? I'm the play-by-play, you're the analyst, you're the play-by-play, I'm the analyst. In this case, there might be 12 to 14 people that are on air. So I've always said that calling a race while it's radio is sort of more like TV from a standpoint with how many people that you have to work with and how many people you have to rely on.
Yeah, it's to me, it's one of the most difficult things. I'm amazed. I love listening to it. It's a symphony. It really is. And I would be really remiss if I didn't mention the passing of Bob Jenkins. Since you've been on, I don't think we've spoken about that. I didn't realize he was from Indiana. He was an IU graduate. But, man, I grew up listening to him because I remember in the days of first getting cable, he was one of the first voices that I ever heard, and just seemed like a happy guy. He just always had a smile on his face. I didn't know him personally, but, man, I love listening to him.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet Bob. Boy, it's almost 40 years ago. I was a young sports director at WPDS TV in Indianapolis, which is channel 59. It went on the air in 1984. And so I was the sports director and the sports anchor. We had a 10 o'clock newscast, and we would get off at 10:30. And he was starting his sort of TV career there. He was a host of Ag Day, and Ag Day was all throughout the state on a station in every market. And they taped it at 11 o'clock at night, then put it up on the satellite, and all these stations would download it and then play it at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And so Bob would be coming into the studio to work just as I was leaving. And so that's when I first met Bob. And then, of course, followed his career at ESPN and with NASCAR, with IndyCar. You know, I'm honored that, you know, I've been in turn 4 for 20 or more years for the Indianapolis 500. And Bob was a long time announcer in turn 4. Bob Lamey, the former voice of the Colts, was in turn 4. So, you know, I'm just really thankful that we were able during the month of May to see Bob. We got our picture taken with him, our network personnel. You know, it's just so tough to see what he had to go through. You know, his wife died of brain cancer almost 10 years ago. And then Bob succumbs to that as well. So just a genuinely sweet man, you know, wonderful person, terrific broadcaster. And it's sort of ironic, Jim, that we lost him this week, because in Indianapolis, it's both of his loves, right? NASCAR and IndyCar together at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So I'm sure the weekend will be full of many, many tributes to Bob Jenkins.
And deservedly so, as it should be. Looking forward to that. One other thing I also have to mention, the Malice in the Palace. The broadcast hit the airwaves.
Yeah.
2004, a long time ago, 2004. But it was certainly, I talked about this, it was really good for me hearing Jermaine O'Neal and hearing from all these guys, even hearing from Ron Artest.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes some responsibility for some of the stuff. And it's a different viewpoint, I think. I don't know. Some people have different viewpoints now as then, and some people haven't changed. But it was certainly not a good time in sports history, Pacers history, anything, Indianapolis history. But it happened, and I don't. It was just a weird deal. But it's weird to look back at it so long ago now.
Yeah, 17 years coming up in the fall. I was the sports director at Channel 59 again, Fox 59, when all that happened. I had done a Butler game that night at Hinkle and had gone to grab a bite to eat with some friends, and we were watching the game, and the Pacers were, you know, they were good that year, right? They probably could have won the title, and then that happened, and you know. Ironically, then 2 years later, I became the voice of the Pacers at a really tough time. I mean, you know, crowds were down, team was not, you know, winning. And so it took a while. It definitely took a while to rebuild from that. And I feel bad for somebody like Jermaine O'Neal, because he really, I mean, and all those guys, they're good people. I mean, it was a bad situation. but especially for Jermaine. I just think he got painted, differently than he is. I think he's a really genuine guy. I have watched part of it, Jim, is it's come out, and I've watched snippets of it. I need to sit down and watch the whole thing. There's some of that probably because of my relationship with the Pacers, it's going to be hard to watch. But I do think, for somebody like Jermaine to be able to tell his story, I think is important.
Well, and that's what I got out of it, to be honest with you. I really took it away from that, he was a young kid, even young kid, but he was mature. He was about winning. He was doing the right thing. He was working hard. Not that Ron Artest didn't work hard, but Ron Artest was dealing with some other stuff. But Jermaine was working hard, and that's difficult to imagine an 18, 19-year-old kid being able to stay in that mindset. But he did. He stayed in a mature mindset, and you're right. He was affected more so than anybody else ever for the rest of his career, probably. And Ron Artest goes on to win a championship.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. I mean, Artest did win a championship, and I remember after he won with the Lakers, the first thing he said, he goes, "I should have done this with the Pacers." I mean, and that's where I give Ron a lot of credit. I mean, in a time when he should be celebrating, he thought back to his Indiana career, because I think he realizes, for especially Jermaine O'Neal and Reggie Miller, how much that championship would have meant to them with the Pacers, especially Reggie spending his entire career here. And I do think it changed the way, unfortunately, people looked at Jermaine O'Neal. And, so I think from that aspect, that's why this documentary, I think, is important for somebody like J.O. To get his story out.
Yeah. And I, like you said it a minute ago, they were probably going to win the league that year. They lost to the Pistons the year before in the conference finals, I believe, who upset the Lakers for the title. And they clearly felt they were the best team that year. And they probably were. They added everything. They added what they needed and had the right mindset. But, man, things went off the rails.
Yeah. That was, that was a disappointing time, no question. And, it's, and I think it is good that it's out there, that people will be able to read more and to learn more, because sometimes history, we forget things, right? And we forget important things, and we allow, by forgetting, that's how we paint things, right? Because we don't really know all of the information. So I think from that standpoint, this is an important thing that's out there.
Absolutely, man. I know you got to get going. Appreciate you so much. Been a great day. Enjoy that heat, man.
All right.
Cold route. I'm telling you, take 2 cold routes today, brother.
All right. Thanks. See you next week.
Thank you. Chris Denari joining us, the voice of the Indiana Pacers. We appreciate him so much here on Indiana Sports Beat. We've got more coming up. Back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for
Oh, boy, it'd be nice to have one more.
It would be nice to have Rick on, because there's a new wrinkle in the Dino Gaudio stuff pertaining to Chris Mack.
Yeah, what is it?
So Dino Gaudio claims Chris Mack wanted to pull players' scholarships after failing to make the NCAA tournament. Mack secretly taped meeting when he fired Gaudio. That was from WDRB, I think, this morning.
What in the world are they doing down there?
Another day in paradise with the Louisville Cardinals.
Dino Gaudio says he confronted Louisville head coach Chris Mack about alleged NCAA violations a year before his firing.
Yeah, this Dino Gaudio, it was yesterday at about 5 o'clock that this guy, Travis Ragsdale from WDRB News, posted that story. All right, coming back in.
More Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. For deals like this, how about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month? Or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here. Big weekend. Indiana basketball is in the Bahamas. The Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. God, I hate to miss that. I'll be driving. Little news out of Louisville. Dino Gaudio, the former assistant to Chris Mack, who was fired, says he confronted Louisville coach Mack about alleged NCAA violations a year before his firing. Former Louisville assistant coach Gaudio says he confronted Chris Mack about those NCAA events violations in March 2021, a year before he was fired. That's among new claims by Gaudio and included in court filings entered Wednesday in his federal extortion case in U.S. District Court in Louisville. The former coach pleaded guilty in June to attempting to get 17 months of salary in exchange for not revealing those purported NCAA violations. According to newly filed documents, Gaudio says Mack agreed to pay his severance package either through the U of L or personally during a meeting on March 17th when Mack fired Gaudio because of poor chemistry. Mack secretly recorded that meeting, the documents saying, and there's a quote that says, "I'm not trying to blank your family and your money." Mack allegedly told Gaudio during the interview, "I love you." Gaudio's side of the meeting was included in the sentencing, blah, blah. So there's that. He said, she said. More, man, what is it with Louisville, John? I mean, my God. There have been two different professors I know of that were arrested for embezzlement. You've had the Rick Pitino extortion with the lady. Now you've got coaches extorting coaches. What the hell?
I think you said it best last time this came about, that they can't stay out of the Courier. I mean, it's like they look for things that they can't get on the positive side of the news for whatever reason. And one thing that you didn't mention from
rules. That's part
exactly.
of it.
Well, another thing you didn't mention from that new release from WDRB is that evidently Dino Gaudio is claiming that current coach Chris Mack was threatening to pull players' scholarships after not making the NCAA tournament.
I mean, that sounds like something you wouldn't make up. I mean, Who knows? But it also sounds like something a coach would say just because he's mad. I mean, who cares? I don't.
Does Dino Gaudio have? I know he's coached a while already, and he doesn't really need to coach anymore. But do you think he's done? What is he even doing now?
Well, yeah, man, you can't threaten to sue a coach and think somebody else is going to hire you. You had a coach secretly record you and to have done that, there had to be something to precipitate him recording that conversation.
And he's not like a Rick Pitino where he can go overseas and have some sort of redemption story and come back and coach at an Iona.
They were friends. And no, they were friends too. I mean, Mac coached under Gaudio, didn't he?
Yes, while he was
Wake Forest or someplace. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Wake Forest.
But is there anything to it? That's the thing. Is there anything to the violations? It's a weird deal, man.
Speaking of violations with the NCAA, I had a headline from this morning. So the NCAA, if you remember the stuff with Baylor football several years ago with Art Briles and all that sexual scandal, the NCAA announced today that they are not going to punish Baylor for those sexual assault allegations. So just another day in the neighborhood for the NCAA not doing something right.
Well, and speaking of Louisville, they have yet to be dealt with for their FBI involvement in that whole deal. Kansas, Oklahoma State, nothing's going to happen to these schools. I'm telling you, I've already said it. The NCAA is just going to do that. And it's becoming more and more evident. Why is there going to be a reason to have an NCAA?
We've mentioned before the college football playoff, they don't even fool with the NCAA.
Nope. Why? I mean, they're losing. They are quickly at a rapid descent, losing any and all reason to be here. They were supposed to enforce rules. Well, they don't do that. They make stupid decisions. The only people they ever punish are like people like the kid from Indiana football a couple years ago who had to sit out because of a clerical error. Are you kidding me?
Was that Morgan Ellison? Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't know. I don't think it was him. I can't remember who it was. But that's the kind of crap that drives me insane. They'll do that and boom. And without a second thought, without even thinking about how idiotic it is. And there are tons of cases like that. But this stuff, North Carolina, all that crap.
What did they end up doing with Penn State and all that stuff years ago?
Well, they suffered. Penn State football took a hit. They're back now. They built it back, but they took a hit. They lost a lot of wins. They lost a lot of scholarships. They were down, but they're a juggernaut. It didn't kill them, and they were able to build it back. But they took a severe hit. It may have been more financial than anything.
Do you think the NCAA realizes that they're kind of on the chopping block at this point?
The NCAA is they work at the behest of the universities, the schools. So it's up to the schools, the presidents. That's who Mark Emmert works for. That's where the money comes from. But somebody is going to have to run the basketball tournament. So,
but I think you could easily do something similar to the College Football Playoff Committee. You have the NCAA, or not the NCAA, but you have the March Madness Committee.
That's basically all that they would change to, yeah.
But a lot of people think that the only thing that the NCAA does right is March Madness.
And they don't always do that. Ask the women from last year. Seriously.
Even though they made the right decision by allowing Indianapolis to host the whole thing, and they did a great job, the equality was not there. And obviously that was one of the biggest issues from the tournament.
The ladies didn't. Yes, it was an unequitable situation. And I don't understand why everybody wasn't in the same room doing the same things. That you're doing the same tournament. You're just doing it different places with different teams. Everything else is pretty much the same.
Scott T, he's the player we were trying to think of earlier was Brian Fitzgerald. I remember that now.
Yes. And see that exactly. And it's exactly what they did. The NCAA screwed him over. And was it because of anything he did? No. Was it because of grades? No. Was it because he didn't go to class? No. Was it because he got in trouble with the law? No. Why was he not allowed to play? Because of a clerical error in an office that someone didn't send something in correctly on a specific date. Give me a break. That is the most asinine thing. And this is not the only case. It happens a lot. And that is why there is so much anger towards the NCAA, because they do that. And then they do what they do with the North Carolinas and Kansases and all this other Louisville crap. It's aggravating. It's extraordinarily aggravating. You look at Indiana. What happened to them back after the Kelvin Sampson deal? Indiana got wiped out over freaking a rule that was changed the next year because it was so idiotic.
So why were they allowed to uphold all of those allegations if that stuff a year later, that so soon, was changed? It's like they knew that it was a idiotic rule to begin with.
It's too late. The punishment has already been meted out. See, that's the problem. You've already been punished. You've already been hit. You've already lost. The players have wiped out. I mean, it was already done. It didn't matter if they changed the rule at that point. What are they going to do? Go back and do the year over? You couldn't. It just the idiocy. But it was also the idiocy on Kelvin Sampson's part. He got in trouble for it at Oklahoma. And to come here and do the same damn thing, it was a stupid rule. And there's probably other stupid rules that coaches break that are dumb on the small side. I mean, to me, that's talking to somebody. I don't know. Man, let's see. I want to. Ross asking, has there been any announcements missed regarding the IU football games with attendance? No changes. Right now, full attendance. I have not heard now masks. There should not be any masks since it's outdoors. Monroe County is not, there has not been anything to change in that regard, to my knowledge. IU has not changed that.
IU can make that rule over Monroe County.
They can if they choose.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be on an outdoor situation. I don't know.
I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do necessarily, but the way that IU is.
I'm not saying I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. It depends. I think it depends on where we are then. We're still, 3 weeks?
Yeah, they may wait until the week of to say something.
Well,
or what's good news is that they don't even have a home game until after Iowa. So they'll be able to see after that.
Ross asked because he's now seeing that the music center, it's actually the Clippets Music Center, right? Is going to require proof of vaccine to attend. Really? Not a mask, but a proof of a vaccine. Well, let me ask. I'd like to ask them, what does being vaccinated do? The only thing being vaccinated does is prevent you from suffering the effects. It does not prevent you from getting infected. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to go on to this deal. But the vaccine does not prevent you from getting the COVID, from getting COVID. It prevents you from getting the effects of COVID. So I don't know what that's going to prove. Jennifer says, Ross, you will drop that bomb the week before the first home game. She's not optimistic about full capacity or even reduced capacity. I am. I guarantee you, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if capacity has changed.
You think Tom Allen has any say in that? Because I don't think Tom Allen would be in favor of that kind of thing.
Nope. Absolutely not. Zero. None of the coaches have any influence on things like that. The school will deal with, nothing. Ross is afraid that that's exactly what he sees happen. Jesse says, if IU pressured to do it, they will do it. Pressured, but who would put that pressure on Indiana to do that? Pete says, people vaccinated can still be a carrier and pass along COVID. So till this is done, masks work supposedly, but everyone needs to wear. Yeah, we'll see. If an event is outside, I don't see what a vaccine will do. I'd be shocked if masks are required for outside, from Wyatt. Same with me. Yep, that is my belief. IU President Witten seems more sports friendly than the last president. Jennifer, you don't have a clue how much of an understatement that is. That is not even more sports friendly than the last president. The last president was not sports friendly, period. Period. Monroe County could ruin it all. Monroe County has a tendency to be a little more iron-fisted along these lines. The mask mandate is currently in effect in Monroe County for indoor. Now, if you're talking basketball, that's a whole different conversation there. That's a whole different conversation. Will you be wearing masks in Assembly Hall? Yep. Yes, you will. I believe you will be. How could you not? There's a mask mandate in Monroe County. Now, it's not for when you sit down, but I don't know. It's all guess. Scott, this is turning into a COVID deal, and that's probably going to piss some people off. Scott's fully vaccinated, got COVID 3 weeks ago, as did my wife. Trust me, he felt the effects. Well, and it's not the same for everybody. That's why it's one particular vaccine is 90% effective. Well, that means 10% of the people it's not going to be effective on. And some people are going to fall in that 10%. Nothing is 100%. But we just need to do what we can do, whatever that is. I don't even know what all that is. I wear a mask when I'm told to wear a mask, when I have to wear a mask. I'm vaccinated. It is what it is. You got to do what you can do. Other than that, we're past break time, aren't we?
Yeah, we can go ahead and take a break.
Let's do it. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're
also, when you get a chance, I think you said you wanted to cut a new Andy Moore commercial.
Yeah, it's probably best to remind me of that not this week.
That's fine. Also, a way you can do calls when it's just you and you don't have to worry about a co-host hearing
Right.
them is exactly what you did with Matt, but you need a Google phone number if you don't want to give out your own phone number.
No, we have the 812-269-6367 number.
Does that go to your phone too?
It does.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. If you want to give that out and take a call for another 15 minutes.
All right. Calls are on board.
And when you post that number on the screen, do you have it?
The only thing we don't have is the 7-second delay.
Is that bad?
Well, it would be only on YouTube. Someone could drop an F-bomb or something.
Well, at least this isn't live radio. I can still
No,
for the
right.
radio
That's what I'm saying.
stations. Go ahead and give me that number, and I'll put it in a banner, and I'll put it up.
812-269-6367.
There we go. Now, on days when you have a co-host, obviously, we can't do it like this because they won't be able to hear unless they're watching the show live somewhere else.
Right, I understand.
Which they might be. You'd think they would be if they're calling in. So, I'm going to bring us back in.
Lunch, hanging with friends, or on the golf course, Sam's Restaurants has multiple locations and something for everyone. Sam's Restaurant in Fishers has homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Thursday. Indiana basketball program is currently practicing in the Bahamas. Looking forward to getting reports on that. You can go to thehoosier.com for updates on that. And then tomorrow we will be talking again with Matt Byrne live from the Bahamas to give us an update on what he saw with practice, what's going on, the player updates. I think that Logan Duncan looks like Logan Duncan won't be playing for whatever reason. We'll find out why he is down there. How much will that hurt Indiana in these games? Would have been nice for Logan Duncan. Would have been some great competition to play against outside of his own teammates. But he'll get plenty of that. I mean, think about this right now. Last year, Indiana had Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson. And that was it. Now you've got Trace, Race, Durr, and Mullet. Mr. Mullet. You've doubled your big man quotient right there. That says a lot. Banked scholarships. Never heard of such a thing. Wish I were down there, but I'm surprised that they're not at least doing these games on radio. I think that Coach Woodson wants to get a look at his team before everybody else gets a look at it, but I don't know how much it would have hurt, really. Nobody's going to see anything that's going to hurt you. Is it just a potential embarrassment of getting beat? I don't know. It's just surprising that with the money that probably was lost, not being made on both radio and television broadcasts after last year, that they would have done that. Tim asking if Woody swam with the Dolphins. I don't know. Maybe he did. He seems like the kind of guy who would do that. He's got a personality. I would not be surprised. Wyatt says what Woodson has done with his team so far is incredible, and not a single game has ever been played yet. He's excited for the season. I think that's correct. Yeah, feel free to give us a call. We'll let you give us a call today, 812-269-6367. That number is 812-269-6367. John will get that corrected. Got to make sure I've got that opened up today. We don't ever do that. Mainly because we've always got people on here to talk to. Boom, there it is. All right. So, the football program is going to have the normal weekend. They've got a scrimmage on Saturday. So, Tom Allen will get a first look on where they are, on setting the depth chart a little bit more solidly. Got to see, we talked earlier in the week about Donovan McCulley, man. And that still is what has stuck out to me for the weekend practice. It was, man, he's going to be a good one. I don't know what this kid from Texas is going to be like, but he sure looks good on tape. You got Jack Tuttle, you know he can play. That quarterback room is deep. Guys, deep. That's the thing about this Indiana football team. They have added depth. Not have they also added quality, but they're adding depth. That quarterback room is 3 deep, solid, and potentially 4. Now, could Donovan McCulley go out and play right now? I mean, he could. Would he be successful? Probably not. Just because he needs to learn more. It's not because he doesn't have the talent. Not because I don't think he's going to be there. Oh, absolutely. He's impressive. Impressive. I think next year's going to be a hell of a quarterback battle. That's assuming Michael Penix isn't here. I've talked about the fact that Michael Penix, if he gets through the year healthy, is that enough for the NFL scouts? One healthy season? They may want to see him do it again, and he'll have another year of eligibility. So yeah. Indiana could be so set at quarterback. They're so set at quarterback, they had to basically not turn down, but Trace Jackson Davis's brother, there was no chance. There was no room for him. You're in good position when you have that situation. When you don't have room for someone of that caliber, wow, here's something I hadn't thought about. Hopefully a few fans will post some videos. Not sure what the rules are on that. Tim, will fans be told not to film the games? I don't know. And whether you're told to do it or not, I don't know. That's a good question. Very good question. It would I'll be honest with you, it would anger those of us in the media that are having to pay to go down and cover the event and to have that stuff not be exclusive. But that's life, right? But that's a good point, man. I hadn't even considered that, Tim. Had not thought of that. I wonder. Because everyone likes to be the guy, man. Sneak that. But the thing is, though, where you got to post it that's not connected to you. And if you are told to not do that, which I think that they may be told probably because this is a Big Ten thing. The reason the media is only allowed to do the 2 minutes, this Indiana is not enforcing it. The Big Ten is enforcing it. Or if you're asking where they would post that, Tim, on Facebook, my point, yeah, burner account. That Wyatt knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, because if you post it to your own account and you've been told not to, well, that's pretty much how they track you down. It will be interesting. Videos have gotten out in the past, haven't they, when it comes to Indiana basketball? They sometimes manage to find a way out, whether it's through CNN or however that happens. But, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see if he might just try to bootleg a video. We're allowed to tape more than 2 minutes, but we can only show 2 minutes, the total video. So we'll try to make that the best 2 minutes as possible. That does not include the interviews that are going to take place, taking place today after practice, which we'll have all of that as well for you up on the YouTube channel. We'll get all of that done. Complete coverage on it, on the Hoosier.com, Indiana Rivals. Make sure you go there. Running for the game, especially during the games, you'll have live updates of what's going on during the games there. So if you want to know what's happening during the games, go to the Hoosier.com. You'll get it. Blow by blow, Matt Byrne will be with us tomorrow, live from the Bahamas again. We'll talk to Alec Lasley as well and get a complete update on the players. It's looking like that Logan Duncan is not going to be playing. We'll get that update. Pete says, being as close as they seem to be on the video, might have to leave a cell behind to get in. Maybe Rivals colleagues can fill you in tomorrow on that. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Just turn the phone on and leave it on. Yeah, that would work. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this comes out. It's our first look, even though it's not a look. We'll get enough. We'll get enough information to have an understanding of what's going on these games. I'm going to have to be like you. I'm going to have to follow along on the Hoosier.com on Rivals on the play-by-play, the updates, the game updates. Because I'll be busy. But Ross says, good show again, guys. Thank you so much. Stay hydrated today during that moving. We appreciate you, brother. Wyatt asking if there's national media down there. You know, I don't know, but my guess is no, because there's not a lot of media down there. There's just a few that cover Indiana on the top end regular basis. Rivals being one of those, Indiana Rivals being one of those. But supposed to hit 105 today. Wow. Where in the hell is that? Ross, you said you're in Kentucky somewhere? 105.
Pretty sure he's down in Somerset, which is South Central Kentucky.
Yeah. What the hell? 105? Man, that's too hot. Too hot. Wyatt says it's a wonder Jeff Goodman's sorry butt isn't down there. They're crap on IU. He's got better things to do. Tim says, don't need a cell to video. Digital camera can video too. Oh, yeah, I know. But they'll track you down. They'll certainly track you down. What are your expectations? A lot of people seem to think this is going to be like some easy practice games. And I'm telling you, that's not the case. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how good these Serbian teams truly are as a team, but I know that they're no slouch. I don't know that Indiana is going to win these games. I don't know that they're not. Once we have this first game, we'll have a much better indication on what this team is, what their rotations are going to look like, who's kind of stepping up, who's doing what. But go to thehoosier.com, make sure you get all that. As I will be doing that. Ross said that's the heat index. Too hot for fishing. You got that right. Jennifer says, after seeing those men, if IU basketball keeps it close, that's a win. Yeah, it's a big boy. Woody told the refs to swallow their whistles. It's going to be a rough, and that could be good for the big boys to get beat on. We'll find out. We'll have it all for you tomorrow. Complete coverage. Make sure you're back. We've got Alec Lasley, Matt Byrne on with us, and plus more. Complete coverage of Indiana in the Bahamas. Thanks a lot to Chris Denari, of course, Matt Taylor, and John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, there's no reason for us to be here. Go out and do something nice for somebody. Until tomorrow, I am Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.